If I tell you to get the fucking job done, you get the fucking job done.
Always got to be the hero, right?
Swallow, Joey, fast.
Fuck is this, Halloween?
Yes, sir. I like to think I'm helping my city. I don't know.
Who are you?
I'm Renegade.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast of Traveling Actors. My name is Brandon Wall, and we have a very special guest today. I will let him introduce himself.
My name's Nic Collier. I'm an actor, editor, writer, and director, and especially of, as you can see, Deaton's shirt, Renegade the series.
Renegade, yeah. So since we're talking about it, let's just go ahead and jump into it. So what kind of got you... So you're the writer and the director of this, correct?
Yeah.
So what got you to want to do this film, this show in particular?
Yeah. So when I was going through high school, I kind of got to the point like most people get to that, they really don't know what they want to do like after high school. I kind of floated around the idea of being a video game designer, but I couldn't play baseball and design video games at that point because I couldn't find a college where I could go do both. It wasn't really good enough to go play with the USC Trojans, which was the top-rated video game program. So my dad, we sat down and we looked at colleges in Kentucky that had baseball and had a media program because my dad did radio at Marshall, and babysitters are expensive, especially for high school kids, and they don't want to sit down and keep, so he just started bringing me along with him. So I started doing like radio broadcasts with my dad for Marshall, and I kind of fell in love with it like that, yeah. And so I got to be on, I did pregame for like 2 years for Marshall football through the student radio. I worked as an associate producer for the basketball games that he did. And then I think I did one baseball game. And he wanted me to get on the air for the baseball game. I said, nah, I'm not, that's not me. But so at that point, I got to the point, I was like, okay, I want to do media. And we sat down and we typed into Google schools in Kentucky with baseball and media. And Asbury was like, it was like Alice Lloyd and then Asbury. And so they were in NAIA at the time. And so the recruiting regulations are a lot different for them. They actually had a recruit me page. So literally I typed in my information and I sent it to them and they emailed me and said, hey, come try out essentially. So we set up a visit and all that. And I went and tried out. I say try out. I went and worked out with the baseball team, and then I think we did the workout first, and then I did kind of like a brief campus tour, not a whole lot. And then my second visit, because I took 3 visits, so my second visit is when I actually got to do like the tour with Dr. Owens, who's the dean of the media department there, who's a fantastic guy. I love him to death. But so he took us through the entire media building and, all the back areas, talked about some class. We sat in on a couple classes, and that's kind of like when I really started to, I kind of fall in love with, the art of filmmaking and a lot of more stuff like that, which once I got into the program, it made a lot more sense because growing up, I always found the behind the scenes extras on like movies and like DVDs. I always found that just as interesting as the movies themselves.
I love watching background actors. I really do.
Yeah.
I eat that stuff up. I don't know. There's something about just watching a background actor. Mm-hmm. There's one guy specific that has done numerous backgrounds, and that apparently they're starting to do now where they're doing like an award for like best background actor. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But he's in like you can look him up. He's in like 1,000 movies, and it's just he's the same guy just doing different things. It is so cool. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. So going through through schooling and kind of getting more and more into filmmaking and like looking back on it, it should have been a no-brainer because, like I said, I really enjoyed learning about how they would make movies growing up. Like one of the ones I can remember like the most like vividly was was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Jim Carrey's the Grinch. I remember like learning about all the different makeup processes and the usage of green screen, and the other one was Revenge of the Sith, like learning how they would build. I mean, that literally was just in front of a green wall, most of it.
Yeah.
So it was really that kind
For
of.
me, it was
really
definitely Star Wars. They had so much bonus content. They literally
yeah.
had like a DVD's worth of bonus content.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy.
And so then we were the original start for Renegade. I was sitting in a hotel lobby on a road. We were on a road series for baseball, and all the guys all the other guys, they were watching a horror movie. I forget what it was, but I was like, not really my thing. So I went down the lobby and I just like started writing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna create my own character from here, and that's what I ended up doing. I ended up creating this before. I think it was in just like a general like film class, so we were kind of learning how to write and stuff like that. So I just pulled up Final Draft on my computer and just started kind of just basically puking all over the page, just get words down. And so the original idea for Renegade was that he was this hero who he was a huge nerd. He worked at a comic book store, and he saw the correlations in his world that crossed with comics, and he used the comics to like solve the crime. So he was like a detective that used comics. The problem is that it's incredibly difficult to show on screen.
That's true.
So that whole idea got scrapped when we restarted and did this. But truth be told, I like this newer version a little bit better. It's a lot more unique.
That's awesome, man. So let's kind of backtrack. So so have you ever acted at anything outside of so are you mainly an actor or a director or producer?
So I'm mainly, I would consider myself, the three things I really like to do are direct, write, and I like to work camera. I love, especially Steadicam. That's my,
gotcha.
like, yeah.
So what is like your favorite, like what is your avenue of like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? If you could pick one of those things.
But you've also acted too. Like
I do
just
act
did
as
Night
well.
Owls, so
Yeah. Man, because I teach as well. And, yeah. So, and I've had my students ask me this, and they're like, if you could do if you could do anything that you want, and I'm like, oh, well, I've already worked the Olympics, so I can't say that, and that always throws them off. Like, you worked for the Olympics? I'm like, yeah, I worked with golf in Tokyo. They're like, you were in Tokyo? I go, it's a different story, man. They always told us I would love to work Steadicam for NFL, especially for the Patriots.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, my dad, he teaches at the high school that I went to now, and so I get to be his guinea pig for a lot of stuff. So his school kind of just like, they're like, hey, what do you need? And he's like, okay, can we get this? He goes, yeah, we can make that work.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting a Steadicam rig. And so he brought me down.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so he was asking me some questions and stuff like, hey, what, does this look okay? And I'm like, yeah, it looks great. And he goes, you want to come down and run it? And I said, when do you need me to be down there again? Yeah. And so I run up there, and I got to run it I've run it for 2 games now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've gotten to run around his students. They think it's funny because I'll be at one end, and so they were playing LCA. So it's Raceland is where I went to school. Yeah. And they were hosting LCA, and they have this running back, and he's going to EKU, and dude's legit. He can run. And I think they're at the opposite 40, and I'm just kind of casually walking, and this dude busts through a hole, and he's gone. And so I'm at the opposite, or I'm like at the 50. So I've got a 10-yard head start, but he's full speed. So I'm running down the sideline in full Steadicam, just like, I've got to get the shot, trying to get to the end zone with this guy. So everyone on the headset was laughing because they're all like watching me, like in the background of the wide shot. Like,
but did you get the shot, though?
I did get the shot.
Yeah,
I did get the shot. That was the important thing.
That's all that matters.
What do they say? It's all about the shot, no matter what you have to do for it. So, that's awesome. So, take me through the Renegade process as far as like so when you did your pre-production and stuff, like what was the most difficult thing? Because is this your first like show or movie or film that you've actually directed and DP'd and wrote? So
actually, no. This is the second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the second like series that I've done. Oh, okay. So the first series I did was I consider it my final project at Asbury. So it's called Battle for Star City. So I'm obviously a huge comic book guy, and Batman is my favorite superhero. And I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I always grew up. But yeah, I grew up with Batman. That was my guy. And so I was like, all right, I want to make a Batman film. Like I'd written like a short Batman script at the start of school, and never made it into anything because it was awful. And so it just kind of one of those things that got put in the shredder, and it's like, all right, we just forget about that one. But I don't know if you know how expensive bat suits are.
No,
they're incredibly expensive.
I would assume so for sure.
Yeah, they're incredibly expensive. So I was like, okay, I'm in no position to pay like $2,000 for a bat suit for to do a short film. So, but I was in the middle of rewatching Arrow on the CW, and so I was like, okay, this is like I love Stephen Amell's interpretation of the character. It's kind of, people make the joke that that's Batman. Like they just took Batman and just made him Green Arrow, which but it was cool, and it was in the jacket. So I was going to Comic-Con that year, and I was like, oh, cool, I can get this jacket off eBay for like $60. So like I already had the jacket, and I was like, well, it's like I have a bow and arrow, I have a jacket, I have friends who are also nerds, and so I started writing, and I ended up writing a 5-part series that's based around Green Arrow. So we took the Death in the Family storyline, and so Red Hood was our main villain. And instead of coming back and being mad just at Batman for letting him die, he's mad at the entire Justice League. So because, Superman, he can hear anything. He can be there in the blink of an eye. The Flash has super speed. He should be able to get there. Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman. And so he's slowly and meticulously killing all the members of the Justice League as payment for letting him die. So it's a very different take on Red Hood.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it was very different. It was really cool to explore that side of Red Hood, to like truly make him evil and not just an anti-hero. But we had a lot of fun with that. I had a lot of sleepless nights because a lot of that stuff it had to be all overnights. So we were going to class from 9 to 3, 9 to 4 to some of us. Then we'd go get dinner at 6 o'clock. And then from at like 6:30, 6:40, we'd go get equipment and go to the warehouse that we were shooting. And we'd shoot from 7 to 5 in the morning. You would go take a 1-hour nap and then you go back to class.
That's crazy.
And so we did that, I think, 4 nights in a row.
That's wild.
I think I got through the bulk of that. I think there was a night where I got 3 hours of sleep through 3 days because we were taking 1-hour naps.
That's crazy.
You were doing stunts and stuff there too.
Yeah, I was doing everything. I got slammed through a table, got thrown through a door.
Nice.
Like all on like no sleep. It was really
no sleep.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's bad, but on no sleep, it's worse. I
Wakes you
promise.
up real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt great.
So from that series to the series you did now, is there things that you did in the first series you were like, well, when I do this, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to do this different. Or is there a lot that you learned from doing that first series that you changed when you did this one?
Yeah, it's just a lot of location managing is the biggest thing, is like, because with that one, it's, we tried to, the biggest one for Star City was we were just trying to find a warehouse to get that look. And that's where the bulk of it was just in a warehouse. Because, the 5th episode it's just a giant fight. It's a 15-minute fight scene is essentially what it is. And then in Renegade, we had a lot of locations. We had to, we had a specific look. It was supposed to be like a noir, like a detective, like drama. And there was a lot of difficult challenges that we had. And that's one of the things that we're taking into the next 2 episodes that we're going to be filming, is just trying to get ahead of the curve and get those locations locked before, we even pick up a camera.
So going to you, Deaton, how did you get involved in this? What intrigued you to want to be a part of this project?
Well, it's funny because Nick mentioned the Steadicam, and that's actually where we met. Asbury had this Steadicam workshop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was just like a volunteer thing that you show up, and I think there was 7 of you. Do you remember how many people there were?
There was more than 7.
Was there more than 7?
Yeah, there was I think there might have been 7 students, but they had also brought in some people from Fox Sports and stuff.
Yeah,
They were sending them in to work
Yeah.
and refine their craft a little bit, because they also brought some of the Fox cameras, which were incredibly heavy on that rig.
Yeah.
I think the Fox camera was 40, 50 pounds alone. And then on top of that rig, it was, and of course we got up to that station with that camera. I wanted to get in the rig. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go first. And I stepped in. I was like, oh, I don't want to go first anymore. I really don't want to go first anymore.
But yeah, for those that don't know, a Steadicam, like he said, is a rig that you have. It's more than a shoulder rig. It's a full body.
It's kind of like a chess piece.
Basically,
like a piece.
Yeah, and the whole point of that was it was a single take, one shot, with a bunch of moving parts. You would go from, I can't remember exactly what it was. We can probably.
I can walk you through it. I remember it.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember it. I've watched it 1,000 times. Yeah. So we would start out with, we'd be right at the edge of the playback monitor for this fake news show.
Yeah, okay.
And then we would go, our main actress would lead into the shot. Then she would stop at the news desk. So we would swivel around the desk to show her. She would go past the camera monitor, which was actually Dr. Owens' daughter.
I did not know that.
She played the twins.
Okay.
So the twins were one person. So once we cleared her, she had to run around the curtain and sit in a chair.
Yep.
And then, so we went there. She stopped and talked to the camera person, which was Sarah. Then and once we got to there, we went through a corridor to the right.
Yeah.
We had to we went forward and we did a turnaround because she stops at the corner and we see Sarah again as the twin and she's talking and all that. So then we do a turn. So we have to back up, we have to turn, and then we have to go backwards. And so she's talking backwards and we stop at a window and she's looking back, like looking at the set, trying to figure out. Then she pushes past the camera. We land at the spaceship set. So the camera lands, says spaceship set. We go in. This is where we meet Deaton for the first time. Yeah. So he swivels around in a chair like Dr. Evil. And then, so we follow them out. We push through a spaceship door. They said you can either go around it or through it. Doesn't matter either way. So everybody went around it. I went through it. I was like one of the only people to go through it. I'm like, this is such a better shot. And so you push through that. He lands at the spaceship. Which is the way they've built that and the spaceship set. It's actually a collection of different pieces of media. So we actually have a flux capacitor inside the spaceship. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's really There's stuff from There's paneling from Batman Begins, like for one of the miniatures for the buildings.
Yeah,
that's hidden in the set.
Cool.
There's a lot of really cool stuff in there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so like right above the seat, like right above the headrest, there's an actual flux capacitor.
That's
right.
Crazy.
It's kind of hidden when you're sitting in there, but so we land there. Then our female lead looks at him and says, "Hey, are you sure you're good for this?" And he goes, "I was born ready." Yeah, steps into it, puts the helmet on, and then the female lead goes over to the actual playback monitor, or gets behind the camera that's supposed to, because they're faking the moon landing is what they're doing.
Yeah,
or faking this trip to space.
Yeah,
and then the guy who was running it, Davis Fenson, he was a big jokester. So when he got in, he started playing Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Yeah. So he would step in every time. We get to hear Danger Zone every time. But yeah, that was so fun.
How long did that take you? How many takes did you do?
We only got one take.
You only got one take.
Yep.
Well, I know it was one take, but like how many takes did you end up doing? Or is that one take?
No.
That was a workshop.
Okay.
So the workshop was 3 days. So throughout the week, or throughout those 3 days, I think it was 3 or 4 days.
But I was only there for that day.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4 days. But throughout that workshop, you worked on, because when you first step into it, you look like a baby deer trying to walk. Like it's very difficult, because the Steadicam, it takes their center of gravity and it pushes it out about 5 or 6 inches. So it really is difficult to walk, especially with a heavier camera. So we kind of had to learn how to walk again with this rig on. And then we did different exercises. Like we went outside, worked on going up and down stairs, working on, my favorite one was we got to sit on the back of a truck with a truck rig, and this thing, we're pushing 40 miles an hour, and we're just hanging off a truck bed with the Steadicam. That's
cool. I didn't know you did that.
It was really cool. And so, because one of the other guys, his name was Jay, was on his moped, and so we're hauling ass through this park with him on his moped. So we have to keep him in frame as we're moving.
That's everyone. It takes a lot of work too, a lot of preparation just to get that, because we've done a one take shot before. And it was almost impossible because the light would die on us, or we'd miss our mark where we were jumping across the boat to the RV, whatever it was. It was just like the hardest thing to get down. So I can imagine with all the equipment, we didn't even have a lot of moving pieces in ours either. And it was difficult.
But this one was straight up like, is it Coen Brothers that always do those?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was straight up like that, where it was just like, okay, you have someone coming down this hallway, someone coming down. It was crazy.
Yeah, you just let the actors lead.
You had to get your mark.
Yeah. But the best part about that one is because it was the scene was a TV studio. Yeah. You didn't have to worry about hiding lights or microphones.
That's true.
So everything that was there looked like it was supposed to be there. Yeah. So that's one of those situations where it kind of get away with a lot more.
Yeah. But the crazy thing, like just to continue what we were saying, after that Steadicam workshop, there was a short film that we worked on. I forget what it was called.
So the book.
The book, yeah. And it was just one of those where like I was doing a favor for a friend, and I go on set and I'm like, Nick,
yeah,
I worked with you before. And that kind of was like what brought us back together. We started talking every once in a while from there. And then speaking of luck meeting opportunity, like I'd been working out for the film that I talked about in another podcast. And so like I was in pretty good shape. And Nick randomly messages me out of the blue. I think it was like a December or January or something.
It was like late November, early December.
No, it was like winter. It was definitely winter. I remember that. And he's like, "Hey, you wanna do this proof of concept for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. When? Tonight." Like 2 hours.
In about 2 hours. Yeah.
Legitimately, like, yeah, 2 hours. And I'm like, being the person I am, I'm like, okay, is it paid? Where's it at? You know, all this different stuff. To which we always joke around because another person was in the proof of concept, Deshaun, didn't ask anything, didn't know what was going on, just had the location.
I just texted Deshaun, so I texted him, and I was like, "Hey man, I got this proof of concept." And he goes, "All right, you know, have any more information?" I was like, "Oh yes, this," and I texted Deshaun. I was like, "Hey man, I need you in about 2 hours in Lex." He goes, "All right, I'll be there." Like, that's all he said.
And he's in Louisville.
No, he's in Indiana.
Oh, he's in Indiana.
He's
He had a
just
longer
across.
drive.
Yeah, he's just across the river.
Funny.
Meanwhile, I'm like 20 minutes away, like, is it paid? What's
Is it
in for
worth
me?
it?
Is it speaking? And then you're like, man, I got a cool costume, and you get to be in a fight scene.
Did I tell you I made
beat
that
someone
costume
up.
that day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, so
Legit,
the costume
yeah.
that's in the proof of concept, I made it that morning.
That's crazy.
Like the one with the Batman helmet.
I remember,
Yeah, he made it.
That's crazy.
Did you
I made
3D
it.
print that?
No, that's all foam.
Oh, it was all foam?
Yeah, that's all EVA foam.
That's crazy. That's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So, I mean, and you can see the proof of concept, but it changed quite a bit from the proof of concept, I feel like. Although the scene's very similar still. Like, I watched like a back and forth.
If you watch them side by side,
Yeah.
we kept Deshaun in that same role from the proof of concept to the actual scene.
Has he ever acted before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know who it is.
He's the go-to thug around here,
Yeah, okay.
legitimately. Like,
Gotcha.
I swear, if you see any sort of fan film or something, there's Deshaun.
Deshaun's somewhere in there.
Swear.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
That's kind of like that background actor I was telling you about. He's always
Yeah.
in the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you were like really big in wanting to do like a superhero.
Yeah, I mean,
role,
like,
too.
well,
'Cause
actually,
I know I
like-
remember you telling me about that. Like that was like on your top of your bucket list things to do.
Well, when we talked on one of the older podcast episodes, actually, I even said, I was like, you know, I really want, we asked like what our dream role is. And
Yeah.
I was like, I really wanted to do a superhero thing.
Yeah.
So like when this opportunity came around, I was like asking my girlfriend at the time, fiance now, I was like, can I go? Can I please go? It's going to be a lot of fun. And you know, it's not normal for someone to be like, hey, you can come down here in like 2 hours and film this thing for like 3 hours or whatever. But I'm really glad that I did it because when I went there, he also pitched me the full series.
Yeah.
And his pitch of like this, basically he pitched the beginning of the pilot.
Yeah.
Where we have if you haven't seen it yet, go watch Renegade episode 1.
Please go watch it.
Or look up Renegade episode 1 Redemption, or I'm sure we'll have like a link somewhere before I spoil it. But at the very beginning, okay, last spoiler warning, 3, 2, 1. It's very like teed up to be like Bruce Wayne, Batman Origins, and then there's the twist of me being the detective that stops it. And so like that was really when I was like, okay, you have my attention. Tell me more.
And that's a character too you have not
Yeah.
played before. Like the detective role, you've
No.
never played that before. So
And it's something that
it's a
I've
great
been wanting to
opportunity
do,
for
yeah,
sure.
for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, the more that we talked about it, the more it was like, okay, because I mean this is a no budget thing. And at this point I've done some bigger stuff. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, am I getting paid again? No. But it was something that I really, really liked the script. I really had a lot of faith in Nick and his team because Nick's been doing this for so long. Like he knows exactly who to talk to, exactly who to bring together. And that's why something so low budget looks as good as it does. And again, it's out on YouTube now if you haven't seen it yet. So go check it out.
Well, it's cool too that you say low budget to no budget and you still did it because we were just talking about that in the last one. Is if you're passionate about something, you get a bunch of people that are passionate about something, you can make something amazing. And if you have the right group of people and you know that, then I mean, it makes it even that much better. So just being able to get a group of people like that, and I've seen it twice now, and it's really good. You can tell that there was a lot of passion put into it, which is awesome.
Thank you.
But spiraling off that, I don't know if you can say anything else off to it, but further episodes.
Yeah.
What can the viewers look forward to?
Yeah, I mean I'm waiting on. I think you still have to read the 3rd episode script.
I have to read the rewrite.
The rewrite. So we've gone through. Because I when I write, I don't typically like to do a whole lot of rewrites. Like I'll do maybe 1 or 2 passes on it, but I don't like to do like some screenwriters will do like 8, 9, 10 passes, which for some people is typical. But like when I write, I'll put in like specific music, like I'll write to like music and stuff like that. So like the stuff that I do write down it's so like not so chaotic, but it's like I said, kind of like it's just I'm puking on the page. I have to just get everything down and then I'll go back in and I'll clean it up later. So, but it's so meticulously written for the sake of my mind is in one track and like it goes here, here, here. And my wife gets on to me and I'm like I was writing episode 2 and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go into the garage and I'm gonna go write. I'm gonna take the Batman with me. She goes, you're gonna set up a television, a DVD player, and watch the Batman for 3 hours. I said, I need to get it in my space.
Procrastination at its finest, everyone.
Yeah. So
If it works, it works.
Yeah. So I went in, I took an extension cord and plugged it into the ceiling because that's where for whatever reason, this house we bought, the outlet is in the ceiling, like on one of the crossbars.
So random.
It's really weird. So I plugged in an extension cord, ran it into my garage, plugged in a TV, a DVD player, and put in the Batman and watched the Batman on like 720p on this television, just so I had it in the background so I could get in like the right mind space. Yeah.
That's really cool.
But then, so episode 2 is a continuation of, there's like a slight time jump, like maybe like a week or so. There's a slight time jump. And then we go to episode 3, which is completely different. So now this is going to be the origin of our main villain, Silverclaw. So you're going to get to kind of learn a little bit more about her and kind of like what she's been through and, kind of get us caught back up and, really, and there's some cool stuff that happens in episode 2. It really makes episode 3 a little bit more kind of meaningful.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool twists and turns we've got planned.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
And I like personally just like, I hopped on board as an executive producer now too, because I see a lot of just potential in this project. And something that I've noticed is it feels more like a TV show with these next 2 episodes. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, and this is my problem with pretty much any origin story. You have to get the origin story out of the way, but then once you get that out of the way, now you can get to like the meat and potatoes.
And it opens up
dive into
for a lot more things to do as well.
Yeah.
You can it's a spiral effect after that, which is awesome. So this is so you did essentially 2 series for 2 superheroes.
Yeah.
Is this what you want to do as far as like, directing and writing goes? Is just superhero and fan films and stuff like that? Or do you like horror? Well, you said you didn't like horror films or whatever, but is there other genres that you would like to do?
Yeah. So, obviously if I can get a job doing a film, I'm probably going to take it. Like I would love to, if I could, the dream, I always tell everybody, I'm like, oh, the dream is to write or direct the next Batman film. That's always like the dream. So like I would, like I said, I'm a huge comic book guy, love comic book heroes. I would love to stay in the comic book genre and if I, as long as I possibly can. The problem is that doing it independently, there's not really money in that. So you kind of have to kind of bounce outside of that a little bit. I've done a lot of sports documentaries too. Those are fun. I love doing action shorts. And I have done a couple rom-coms, which was the book, which is actually, we never released it. But that was a romantic comedy, and I did one in college with 2 of the actors, or our lead actress and actor was actually our Black Canary in Red Hood for Battle for Star City. So we all got to kind of stay together for that one. So I've done 2 romantic comedies, 2 sports docs, 3 sports docs, a 4th if you count the one I never released because the audio was really bad. 4 sports docs, 2 superhero series, and a Partridge in a Pear Tree.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. That's a lot of work too. That's cool. So was it a lot of like, did you have to really like going into this? So you wrote this series a long time ago, right? This is something that you've been working on for a while.
Yeah. So I wrote the original outline for this version of Renegade. I wrote, I was in my hotel in Tokyo. We had to go undergo what was called soft quarantine over there. So the first 2 weeks we got there, we were only allowed to go to work, our hotel, and this little convenience store that was like right around the corner. So we could get food. That was the only place we were allowed to go. So I was stuck in my room. Like we couldn't even go like in each other's rooms. Like
that's crazy.
We were not allowed out of our rooms at all. Like
this is like the height of COVID.
Yeah, this was right at the height of COVID. Like Japan was like terrified.
That's crazy.
Like I had to take my temperature like every day. I don't think it was the temperature, but I had to spit in a tube every day.
Yeah.
And then I had to send that off to labs, and they had to make sure I wasn't, COVID positive.
Yeah.
So there was up until the point, once we got released, so me and Jay Wade, we actually walked 12 miles the day we were released. So because we went to Shibuya and just started walking around into shops and walked it was awesome. But so the original, because I learned from the original Renegade going into using that into Battle for Star City, I wrote the original Renegade script. It was called Blue Renegade at that point because I felt like it needed a color in there.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as edgy. So the original Blue Renegade, I wrote the first episode. I used it for one of my class projects. And I was like, okay, cool. Where do I go from here? And the answer was I had no idea. So it never got any more continuation to it because I didn't have an idea, but we already shot an episode. So I was like, okay. And so when I went to Star City, I still have it. I have a little mini whiteboard that I wrote down all of the episode overviews on. I still have that in my office. And so I did the same thing with Renegade. So I sat down, I had turned on Netflix or something, and I just started writing, okay, what's episode 1 look like? What does episode 2 look like? How do I introduce this villain into this world? How do I make all these lines connect? How do all these characters interact within this world? And I got it down to the 5 episodes, and then going back and even writing the scripts, just using that as a guideline. The episodes changed so much from the time that I wrote, the outline in 2021 all the way, we're in 2024 now. Even the first episode looks vastly different from the original outline.
Right. Man, that's crazy.
So what got you wanting to do the proof of concept? The original one we did.
Yeah, what made you you're like, all right, this is it. I'm doing this now. It's now or never.
My parents always ask me every year, hey, what do you want for Christmas? I told them, I said, I want a Blackmagic Pocket 4K. So I just want, because at that point,
That's right. That's what you said. Okay.
So I only had DSLRs at that point. I had I bought a Rebel T7. It's an okay starter camera, but it's not a cinema camera. You're not going to get that look. So I was like, I want a cinema camera, and it's a super affordable camera for what it puts out. It's incredible. And so I ended up getting that for Christmas, and I wanted the Pocket 4K because our buddy Wes, he has the Blackmagic Ursa, and so I got to play around with it a lot because I've been helping him with some of his stuff. And so I was like, okay, I really like this Blackmagic stuff. It had the EF mount on it, so I could use all my Canon lenses.
Oh, nice.
It was great, yeah. And so, we get through Christmas. I ended up getting the camera. I was like, awesome. I brought all my camera gear with me back home because I was going to start plugging stuff in, start playing with it. And I go to hit the lens, nothing. I was like, okay. It's it won't click in. And I had to do some research, and I didn't know that the Blackmagic Pocket 4K was a micro Four Thirds sensor and was not EF mount usable. So I couldn't use it. So then I ended up having to go to Murphy's Camera and Lex. They had one micro Four Thirds lens. It was a 75 micro Four Thirds. I think I paid $400 for it, which was about $200 more than I told my wife I was gonna pay. But I was like, hey,
if you're finding this out now.
Yeah, no, she knew. I told her. She's like, how much was it? I was like, $400. She goes, you said 2. I go, look, it wasn't the lens I thought it was. Okay, it is what it is.
200 more.
It's like I put 200 on the Best Buy card. We're good. Okay. She goes, whatever. So but I had the camera. That was on. I remember the dates because I got the camera on the 23rd.
Right.
I texted you on the 26th. Because I made the costume.
December, right?
Yes, it was the day after Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And because I'd actually shot a film with my wife on the 25th, we shot a little short kind of. It was like oh my gosh, my brain's not working. Like a Western game night. So
you showed me that one.
Yeah. So what the film or what my wife and I did for Christmas that year is that we got ourselves some smaller gifts, which we do a lot. So we set a budget, okay, this is what we are allowed to spend on each other for Christmas this year. That way, we can save some money and, go on more trips. And because we're very much so experience, based when it comes to giving each other gifts and stuff like that. But so for Christmas, you say, okay, we're going to $60 this year where you can only spend $60 on Christmas for each other. And so I went to Target and their board games were buy one, get two, half off or buy two, get one free. I was like, perfect. She loves board games. And so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get her a bunch of board games. So I got her 6 board games for $40. Wow. And so it gave me a chance to get her some other smaller stuff too. And one of the games I got, it was kind of for me. It may or may not have been for me, but it
my
was
Christmas present.
Yeah. So it was Connect 4, but it was Nerf. So the board flips up, and you have all these tiles that are blue, and the red and yellow tiles you can set them in however you want at the top. But they give you a little Nerf pistol, and it's like a one-shot pistol, like a prime it once, and you have to shoot out the little the circles, and when you shoot it out, it drops down, so it drops one down. And so we played it for like an hour and a half. It was awesome, and I had I had the camera and I had the lens at that point. And said, "I have an idea." I said, "I need you to trust me." He goes, "What?" And I go, "We're gonna shoot a spaghetti western, but with Nerf." And she goes, "Okay." And it ended up turning out really good. At least I'm a little biased to it, but.
It's almost like a commercial at that point.
Yeah, it really was. It was a lot of fun. And then, so that was on the 25th. On the 26th, I was like, excuse me, I was sitting at the house and I go, okay, I have a camera, I have a lens, okay, I have the time. And so I had extra foam in my office, and I sat down and was like, okay, let me sketch this, because I already had the character sketch done. Like I'd already sketched when I did that in Japan too. So I'd sketched out all these character designs, and I was like, okay, let me see what I can make that like is similar to what I have. And so I just started putting stuff together. I think I put that chess piece together for like $50. Yeah, just put it together, $50, put it together.
So
and
good
like,
too.
Renegade right there.
Yeah. So I put it together for like $50 in like 5 hours. It just took I let the paint dry and stuff. For some reason, it took so long. And then I texted him on the 26th at about 5, 6 o'clock. I said, hey man, got this project. I want you to play the superhero. And he goes, cool. And we know that whole rest of that story. It was all from there. But yeah, that's kind of like the whole process of that. Mm-hmm.
So cool. Yeah, I forgot that it was because you wanted to test out the black magic.
I literally just wanted to do a screen test just to see how that camera worked. That's all it was.
So Deaton, for you, what was like your biggest setback when it came to the role though? Like what was the hardest thing to develop or get with, because I know you've never done a superhero character before. So like what was the hardest adjustment for you?
I think the hardest thing is, because you're right, it is a superhero, is you have to keep it grounded. Mm-hmm. And so it's really just kind of, because it's very easy, especially like the way that the script is written, to be like too much with it, if that makes sense.
Like you don't want to be like over the top.
Yeah, you don't want it to be like soap opera-y or like too corny or whatever. Yeah. So I think really what it came down to was just kind of finding the relationships in the script and figuring out like what is it that motivates Daniel, which I mean Nick was very open about like what it was, it's the corruption and whatever, but even more deeper down than that, you had to kind of figure out what is it exactly that drives this character. And the funny thing too is like the voiceover ended up being an ADR session because we did the voiceover, but it was right after the scene where I was with the kid. Mm-hmm. And so like I was still kind of in that mode, and it was too light for what we needed for the voiceover, because that was supposed to be like the film noir, like, this city is so bad or whatever. And I was still in that mode of like, all right, Bruce, you take care. This city is so bad.
It's so funny. Like, I remember walking into the guy who was helping us do the audio stuff, and I sat down. I was like, all right, man, what do we got? And it just was like the happiest, cheery voiceover for like this just really dark and gritty scene. I was like, can we call Deaton back for a little bit of time? Like, that's not good at all.
The answer is no. It was also sleep deprivation. Like I think it was our 14-hour, 16-hour day, whatever it was.
It was our long day.
That was a long day.
So do you feel like there's a difference acting wise though for a superhero character rather than just like your normal average, like your college kid or whatever? Do you think there's like a different approach to that?
Yes, because there's more weight. I mean, especially because I was a detective. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm a young detective, but it's really just kind of comes down to like there's more weight on the character that you have to have that a lot of people have said that they like the intensity in like the detective scene, and that's because I'm actively thinking. I'm actively, obviously active listening too, but like I'm not just waiting for my line. Like I am deep in thought. Like, but I think it also comes down to the relationship in that scene. as far as like, this is my boss, but you're wrong. Like, you have to, it would have been so easy for me to just kind of like stand up and start yelling at him or something, but I didn't do that. I made the choice of like taking it because that is like the authority or whatever.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to, I guess, believing in the circumstances. Like, could you actually, put on a suit and go fight? No, I couldn't. I would get my ass beat.
Well, I feel like it helps though, getting into the character, putting that suit on. Like, I guarantee it did. It like triggers something within you.
Or even just having like the leather jacket, like everyone calls it like the Jared Padalecki look or the Sam from whatever. But like having that on definitely like, you work from the outside in. Yeah. And so like that definitely put on more weight to me. Like, okay, I've been doing this for
and they also say too, if you put uniforms on, it does something to your acting. Like, it changes.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
for sure.
For acting for me, like when I first started acting, my teacher would like, if it was a lawyer role, he would maybe put a suit on and do it because it does something to you. It like puts you in that space whenever you wear a suit. So I feel like with the costume on, it like gives you that power.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was walking around, like especially when like we did the first fitting because we did a.
Was it you had brought like 3 or 4 different costume like choices in your car, and you said and we kind of looked at them, and I had to kind of look like, okay, I like this jacket, but it doesn't really go with that shirt, but I like that shirt better, and then it kind of was like a jigsaw puzzle.
I think I was wearing these jeans actually.
Were you really?
I think so. Probably the same jeans. They kind of look like them.
Shout them out.
Yeah, the jeans that I wore for the detective scenes or whatever.
That's awesome though, man. So it seems like y'all got some good stuff. So what's the future look like for you? Like where do you go from here? When are we expecting to see more episodes? Or?
Yeah, we right now we're on track to film episodes 2 and 3 this summer in early to mid June. Hoping to have those out around the same time frame.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, when those release, we're gonna be in hopefully early pre-production, if not filming, of episodes 4 and 5 by the November, December area.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we've kind of talked about. So that way we'll have the full first season wrapped up by this time next year.
And so are you going to release like 2 and 3 before you get the rest of them done, or are you going to wait until you finish all the whole season and then you're going to release them all?
I think definitely what I've considered doing is staggering them out a little bit. So releasing episode 2 around the same time released episode 1, and then episode 2 kind of like a halfway point. And then by that time we should have episode 4 pretty close to being finished, and then releasing that one, and then
so kind of releasing them as it goes, spacing it out a little bit.
And then because once we get episode 4, that gives us a little bit of time to really wrap up the series and make sure that we get a really good send-off to start prepping for a season 2.
So you're looking at like, what, 5-6 episodes?
Yeah, about 5 episodes a season.
Okay.
And we're looking at a 3-season slate so far.
That's awesome, man. Deaton, you got anything else, bud?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of, because by the time this comes out, we can't talk about this. So we have a booth at LexCon in March.
Oh, nice.
It's March
7th through the 10th.
Yeah, March 7th through the 10th. So come out and see us if you want to. I'm going to be in the costume. If you want to get a photo op or whatever, we can do that. We'll have pre-orders for our merch. Like, we've got shirts. They look different than this, don't
they?
They look more like this.
So these were part of the Kickstarter campaign. These were for donors.
Gotcha.
The ones we'll have at the booth, it's just the Renegade logo. So it's just the logo, and it has Renegade across it. Yeah.
I actually have seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's on our website too.
Yeah.
We've got posters. We've got stickers. Right now, we're gonna eventually. I know a lot of people want like sweatshirts and stuff, so we're looking at other options too for what we can do merch wise.
Yeah, because I like that sweatshirt you got on a lot.
Yeah, I want one too. I want one so bad.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I've been looking at it the whole time. I hadn't even been staring at it. I'm just looking at the hoodie.
just looking at the Renegade Films logo.
What are we talking about again?
And then one of the biggest announcements we can make, and I can just cut this if we end up not being able to, is Kevin Porter is coming on board for the next couple of episodes. And for those that don't know, that is Batman from Bat in the Sun, among 1,000 other things. Nick actually worked with him on a short film called Night Owls as a Batman fan film and made a really good connection there. Yeah. So he's interested in being on Renegade.
Yeah, we're really excited about that one. Yeah,
that's awesome. Nice. All right, well, y'all want to plug in the Facebook page and the YouTube channel?
Yeah,
so
I'm sure we'll have a link somewhere too.
Yeah.
But we've got Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all pretty much the same. Renegade Films. Easiest way to find the actual episode is just type in Renegade Episode 1 Redemption on YouTube. It's like the third or fourth link, and you'll see this poster.
Literally
Actually,
like that,
literally
yeah.
like this poster's on there. And or you can go to like my Facebook, Deaton Gabbard, and you can find all of my links to things that are out right now from there. The store link should be there too, right?
I think the store link is it's on my personal website, but the link is on our Renegade Films stuff as well.
Okay. Awesome. Well, if you haven't already seen it, go check it out. I promise you it's a great watch. I've already watched it twice. And thanks, man, for coming out, man. We really appreciate
Thanks
you,
for
brother.
coming out, Nick.
No, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Until next time.
Until next time.